Child life professionals strive to reduce the negative impact of stressful or traumatic life events that affect the development, health, and well-being of infants, children, youth, and families. They embrace the value of play as a healing modality, working to enhance the optimal growth and development of children through assessment, intervention, prevention, advocacy, and education. The Child Life Council is the leading professional organization for child life specialists. Membership is composed of more than 3,000 child life specialists, child life assistants, university educators and students, as well as hospital administrators and staff, school teachers, therapeutic recreation specialists, and others working in related fields. Throughout the United States, Canada, and nations across the planet, from Japan to South Africa and New Zealand to Kuwait, child life specialists work in hospitals, clinics, private practice, schools, and other settings.
I think child life specialist is improving and it's becoming international. As you see, from every different country now we're talking about that in this conference, not only from Japan, from Kuwait, from New Zealand. You know, all this, I think it's going to be very well known, and I think very soon even all the countries will be having something called child life specialists.
Child life specialists guide millions of children each year through primary care visits and routine checkups, as well as providing support for children and families as they navigate challenging life experiences such as surgery, acute and chronic illnesses, bereavement, and catastrophic events. Child life specialists promote effective coping through play, learning, and self-expression. They utilize contemporary theories of child development to encourage optimum development and well-being. Understanding that a child's welfare depends on the support of the family and that family members have their own needs when a child's in distress, child life specialists provide information, guidance, and resources to parents, siblings, and other family members. In honor of the child life profession and the Child Life Council, we begin our celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Child Life Council by reflecting on yesterday, embracing today, and looking forward to tomorrow. Our profession grew out of a documented need to alleviate the stress experienced by children and families within the healthcare system. Early observations of distress experienced by lonely and frightened children in hospitals caused by restricted family presence and lack of normal developmental activities for children provided an opportunity for change. Early play programs for children included Mott Children's Hospital in Michigan in 1922, Babies and Children's Hospital of Columbia Presbyterian in New York in 1929, Children's Memorial in Chicago in 1932, Johns Hopkins Children's Center, Baltimore in 1944, and Montreal Children's Hospital in Quebec in 1949. During these years, there were at least 10 established programs in North America. In 1955 at Cleveland Metropolitan Hospital, Emma Plank pioneered one of the first organized programs of support for hospitalized children to be described as a child life and education program. Her energy, spirit, and vision formed the foundation of the child life profession. She also encouraged the application of child development principles to the care of children in hospitals. Her legacy includes the classic text, Working with Children in Hospitals, a guide for the professional team, published in 1962 and reprinted in 2004. She was co-founder of the Association for the Care of Children in Hospitals.
First it was called the Association for Care of Children in Hospitals.
In hospitals, that's right.
Which really fitted it.
Yes.
Then outpatient departments took a major role. Then reaching out into the community of preparing children before they came, all that.
Yes.
So the first name was given when things were constituted in Baltimore. I had the chance to work with medical students all along, and my dream would be that every medical student should get at least a month where he is free of making medical decisions before he gets a clerkship, and be on a division to play with children, to observe children, to be shown around to different places, let's say a school for the blind, or all these things which a larger community has to offer, so they would know what children are like.
Mary Brooks established a similar program at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia in the 1960s, and soon other hospitals followed their lead by initiating play and education programs to promote emotional stability and healthy development for the hospitalized child.
And I called it humanizing hospitalization for children. We worked from the beginning with parents to help them to understand the importance of play, and with the nurses and residents and all the hospital personnel to help them to understand that this isn't just busy work, that play is important to children. Ones that I'm proudest of was a child from Puerto Rico. Everybody else thought that Jeannie was retarded and maybe autistic. The play ladies were the only people who thought that she was deaf. And she said that was very important, but nobody knew that except the play ladies.
In 1966, the Association for the Care of Children in Hospitals, later called the Association for the Care of Children's Health, was formed as an interdisciplinary organization of nurses, doctors, social workers, physical and occupational therapists, and play leaders. All shared a common concern for the psychological welfare of children within healthcare settings.
And Barbara Haas, elder now, was one of the 6 founders of ACCH. One of the things that they realized right from the beginning was that there was no way that Child Life could make the changes by themselves. Initially, ACCH started out as in the early talks, it started out really as a Child Life organization, as the 6 founders were sitting around talking about the need for this kind of organization.
The founders were really an unusual group, and I think their aspirations for the future of the field have been realized. It's accepted in all hospitals for children, and it has stabilized. Everybody wants a Child Life program for children.
I think they were also looking, BJ, for not only just having a Child Life program, but having a program of quality. And I would say that we've also reached that as the profession has developed. And we have access and quality and expansion. Even though today people are worrying about the expansion, but considering there were 6 founders, you have to acknowledge that in 30 years we've gotten someplace.
And people talk about Child Life as being part of children's health care.
That's right.
And so I think their aspirations were definitely realized.
During the 1970s, Child Life professionals collaborated to define the theoretical basis of their work with children, essential elements of professional practice, and requirements of educational programs that sought to prepare students for the profession. Child Life programs grew in number from 10 in 1950 to 170 in 1975. The first academic program started at Wheelock, Utica, Mills, and Edgewood colleges in the 1970s under the influence of pioneers Muriel Hurt, Evelyn Hauslein, Jean Stanford, and Evelyn Ormland. In 1973, Professor Ormland published The Effects of Hospitalization on Children, and in 1981, Professor Stanford, along with Professor Richard Thompson, published Child Life in Hospitals, Theory and Practice, a major handbook of child life.
And we realized that there wasn't a book on child life that was available. And so Jean was giving me all sorts of courage to do things, and I was saying, you know what I'd really like to do is to write something. We're driving back from the conference. We were so excited talking about the possibility of this book, a textbook for child life people. We get so involved in the conversation in the middle of Pennsylvania that we don't realize this blinking red light that Jean has on the dashboard to signal you're low on gas had come on. And we managed to coast down the road to the only gas station, I'm sure, within 100 miles and got some gas and managed to get back down the road. But in the process, we were laying out the chapters for child life in hospitals.
Wow.
25 years ago, a group of child life professionals attending the Task Force on Child Life Issues in Seattle received approval to proceed with the formation of the Child Life Council.
I was fortunate to be a participant in a conference in Dallas, Texas in 1980, which 200 of us were staying in dorms at Southern Methodist University. And we had 2 all-day sessions facilitated by Jean Stanford, in which we were asked to sort of discuss the whole field of child life and define our name, define our purpose, define many things that later on we now take for granted. But in those 2 days, not only I think were we helping define the profession for other folks, but we were defining it for ourselves.
Several years earlier, under the umbrella of the Association for the Care of Children's Health, the Child Life Study Section and Task Force had been created to address specific program standards, competencies, and credentialing requirements for the new profession of child life.
I was appointed by ACCH to meet with John Showalter, who was the president of ACCH at the time, and B.J. Seabury, and Ruth Schneider. And we met at the Yale Child Study Center. We had a 3-day weekend, and our assignment was to hammer out what we thought between the Child Life Specialist, the Task Force Study Section, and ACCH would be the best way for Child Life Specialists to move forward. There was a blizzard, and we're sitting in the Yale Child Study Center, and I'm thinking, wow, what a great place to be, because this is, at that time, and still, is one of the leading places for learning about children. And Al Solnit and Sally Provence were there at the Yale Child Study Center, and so I'm thinking we've just got these good vibes going on, and all of a sudden this huge blizzard. So we had to move from the Yale Child Study Center, and we all packed up and moved into John Showalter's home. And his kids left their beds and made room for us, and we sat in his living room for 2 days straight, looking at all of the permeations of how child life could grow. And from that came the recommendation that there be formed a Child Life Council. And initially, the Child Life Council was under the umbrella of the Association for the Care of Children's Health. And we thought that would be a way to start, to have a separate council, but to still be associated under the umbrella of the Association for the Care of Children's Health.
From 1982 to 1983, the Child Life Council began its most important work, building the foundations of a profession grounded in sound psychological theory and clinical research that would promote the developmental integrity of children experiencing prolonged or intense stress. In those first two momentous years, 1982 and 1983, members of the Child Life Council numbered 235. Jerry Ann Wilson was elected as the first president. The first membership mailing went out. The first Child Life Council bulletin was published in August 1983. The first council meeting was held at Kendall College in Evanston, Illinois, and the Code of Ethics and Theoretical Framework was approved.
I was the first president of the Child Life Council, and I was a president of ACCH. I was part of the Child Life committee over the years that helped Child Life separate from, that helped Child Life become a separate, become a group within ACCH from just a committee to a Child Life Council, and then was the chair of the committee that helped make the separation a permanent separation.
Early committee work focused on joint accreditation, core curriculum, competencies, philosophy, membership, bylaws, certification, program review, different names, and common goals. In 1983, the Phoenix Research Project, supported by ACCH, established the framework and justification for child life programs. Published in 1990, it became the operating guide for new programs in a variety of settings. The Sample Day in the Life of a Child Life Specialist became a model for child life specialists struggling to standardize their work and document the value of their professional presence, whether in a small community hospital or a larger institution dedicated solely to the care of pediatric patients.
So Beverly came to Dallas, and we made a presentation to the Fikes Foundation, and they accepted the proposal, and that was the beginning of the Phoenix Children's Research Project, because that really was our first huge step in our professional development.
The American Academy of Pediatrics first recognized the importance of child life programs for hospitalized children in an article in the September 1985 edition of Pediatrics, stating one of the most progressive, useful, and humane programs to be initiated in recent years is the child life concept. In 1986, professional certification began.
We were talking about needing certification, and I'm sure it was a very serious conversation at the time, but we started making up this song about not having certification. And it was Child life specialists, we have fun, certification, we have none, and we just were lamenting in a silly way that as a profession we weren't at that point yet. And so in 1986, we did formulate the Child Life Certifying Commission, and I was the first chair of that commission when it was first established in 86.
Biggest accomplishment that we've ever made is certification. I mean, that's made us grow from being play people to being professionals.
The following year, our Canadian colleagues formed a group known today as the Canadian Association of Child Life Leaders and began an ongoing partnership bound by a common purpose. The first president was Ruth Snyder. Membership reached 800 by 1988.
The Child Life Council became a membership organization devoted to the membership of Child Life because at that point the members now had an organization that became their parent that they could go to and learn from and be a part of.
Annual conferences provided opportunities to share ideas on program development, discuss common challenges and concerns, and network with colleagues. New publications addressed core topics in the child life field, reflecting an increasing awareness of professional accountability. These included standards for academic and clinical preparation programs, standards for clinical practice, competencies, the Code of Ethical Responsibilities, and the Child Life Philosophic Base.
From my perspective as a New Zealander, I guess it's the standards that they developed that we were all able to build upon, to take those as the basis, that they shared it with those of us internationally. So those standards, those official documents that they developed, and then from then the flow on into the international perspective.
March 1993 marked the first American Academy of Pediatrics policy statement on child life services, a historic step that greatly enhanced our visibility and esteem within the interdisciplinary healthcare team. Within 10 years, the revised AAP policy statement would include a new section called Child Life Services in a Changing Healthcare Environment, which described child life as integral to best practice models of healthcare delivery for children. In 1996, a Vision to Action Task Force was established to analyze our past and present and set the direction for future development of the profession.
As part of what we call the Vision to Action Conference. And in that meeting, once again, being with people that really cared about the profession, we were able to talk in depth about things that mattered for our profession and look to the future. In all of those events, I think we were evolving what might be seen as a discipline, really looking at us developing into a profession.
When I think about some of the milestones in child life, I think about something that's really close to everyday work, and that's being part of a multidisciplinary team. I think until we're able to get to the table with everyone to really discuss the needs of children and families, we weren't able to really have as great of an impact. It really brought our care into the mainstream of the healthcare delivery.
The certification examination was first offered in 1998 to a Child Life Council membership numbering 1,500. At the same time, clinical internship and academic programs worked to standardize the professional education of child life specialists.
I was president-elect of the Child Life Council when the decision was made to suspend the certification process. Kathleen McHugh was president before me, and she had led the board to come to the agreement that it was time to suspend the existing process and to